A lot of you have asked me in the comments, would I buy this tractor again? This is an XT3 GSX Cub Cadet, no longer made. So I can't actually buy this tractor again, new. But there's plenty on the used market. So I want to give you a 1-year review on it for those of you who are considering perhaps a used one. And I'll tell you the good and the bad and the ugly, I guess. So I'll just start at the front and do a quick walk around and explain myself as I go. So what I like about this tractor, well, it comes with this brush guard on it. It's really easy to get. I say that, but you have to pull it straight up. If you don't pull it straight up, you're not getting in it. So pull it straight up, and the hood tilts forward like a race car. What I like about this is with the shaft drive, the engine is in sideways like a car. So all your points of maintenance are simple to get to. Spark plugs are right on the side, oil's on the top, air cleaner, dipstick, here's your fuel pump, your carburetor's right there underneath this, oil filter, fuel filter, then your battery's in behind this little metal cabinet right here. So let me tell you about that real quick. This tractor is equipped with electronic power steering, and I'm sure it must be a cheaper option than hydraulic power steering, and I'll tell you about that. You cannot jump this tractor. The reason is the electronic power steering will get fried. So additionally, you can't charge the battery with the cables attached. You have to disconnect the battery completely, then attach your cables, and then charge it. Once the charging is complete, reattach your battery cables, and then you're good to go again. So electronic power steering will get fried if you try to charge this with the battery cables attached. As far as the motor goes, it's a Kohler, and I'm pretty happy with it. It does do one thing that I don't like, and that's when you've been running it for a while. Even if you slowly throttle down before you shut it off, it backfires and it sounds like I just shot one of my guns off. It is loud and it scares children and small dogs, actually, and big dogs. So that's a common complaint with this tractor. I cannot find a fix for that other than it's just the fact of owning this tractor. So I really like the power steering. It's a great feature to have. I like the differential lock, and this differential lock here has a lever on it, which is different than the John Deere's, in that you just slide this lever over and it engages both wheels as long as this lever is over, and then when you want to disengage it, you just put it back over here and that opens the axle again. There is a light on the dashboard that tells you when the differential lock is on, so that's good because if you happen to forget it for whatever reason. So I do like that feature. So the power steering, differential lock, those were two of the reasons I wanted this tractor in the first place. In addition to the power lift. So the power lift is just a little servo with a rocker switch. So the rocker switch is right there. Now I always mow at 4 inches, so it's a non-issue for me, but some people have mentioned that that dies and they have to replace either the servo or actually I haven't heard the actuator actually goes bad. It's usually the mechanism that actuates the actuator, the servo motor, or sometimes that rocker switch goes bad. So then you've got your depth adjustment here. So what you have to do is when you're picking it up or putting it down, you have to use kind of two hands. You are sliding this one way or the other and pushing the rocker switch one way or the other. So to go down, you're pushing this down and pushing the down button. To come back up, you're doing the same thing to put it back. So when you set this, let's say we set it at 3, okay, that's never going to go up higher than 3. So the difference between that and the John Deere is with the John Deere hydraulics, it'll pick it up all the way and only drop it to 3. Well, this one, either way, it doesn't go past 3. So you have to bring this up and then engage this, and that will bring it up all the way. But it's not an issue for me because my land is so rough that I don't even cut below 4 inches again. 42-inch deck. I know that sounds kind of funny on a big tractor like this, but I have a lot of rocks and bedrock, little granite ledge as we call it up here in Maine. So a 42-inch deck on my property is perfect. I don't scalp. I don't tend to hit rocks because I usually mow at 4. So the 42-inch deck, I'm very happy with it. The problem is nobody stocks the 42-inch deck blades, so I have to order them every time. So that can be a pain in the neck. And when I say every time, I've done it once, so I'm assuming that's going to be a problem in the future. One thing that makes me absolutely crazy is these lights flicker. These lights, when the tractor's on, the lights are on, and the lights flicker nonstop. And so I've got to trace the wiring and figure out what's up with that. But it's pretty much done that ever since I got it. When I mentioned that to the dealer, he just said, check your grounds. So I'm like, okay, guess I'll check my grounds. Now, the gauge wheels on there, they're kind of chintzy. It's just a piece of sheet metal with the gauge wheels on it. So if you hit anything, they bend. And it's not the axle on the gauge wheel that bends. It's the bracket that bends. So that's kind of chintzy. I do like the tires on it. It has the, you know, the good Carlisle Turfmaster tires on it, so that's great. Again, I mentioned this in my first video that the wheels on this tractor, they boast about their automotive type hubs. Well, they always had them on the Cub Cadet shaft drive tractors, but they were 5-bolt. These were 4-bolt, and with the 5-bolt ones, you could reverse the wheels, so you could get a couple 3 inches extra width by just swapping the wheels around. That's not a thing you can do anymore. So these old Cub Cadet weights still fit, but there's only 4 bolts holding it to the axle now instead of 5. This toe plate for a garden tractor is super chintzy. It's like, I don't know, maybe 14 gauge steel. It's just a piece of sheet metal with a hole drilled in it. So if you're doing any kind of work where you're towing a trailer that's heavy, say you've got a, you know, even a cart full of wood and you're carrying it all the time, that's going to wear out through there, and you're going to have to, like, well, it's already bent. You know, it's already bent. So I don't know what else to do besides weld a washer on there. And you know, I'm not super happy about that, but it is what it is. So I'm told by the dealer that the reason they don't have this version anymore is because they couldn't get the transmission. And this transmission came from China, so they can't get them anymore. And that's the main reason. Now, Stanley Black Decker bought out Cub Cadet, and as far as I'm concerned, they've ruined it because there's no more shaft drives from Cub Cadet. And Cub Cadet, their reputation was always built on shaft drive tractors. So as far as like the engine transmission, this tractor is flawless, works great. So with the hydrostatic transmission, you've already got a hydraulic pump, and I still don't understand why they didn't make it hydraulic power steering and hydraulic lift. I'm guessing it's they saved money somewhere. I think one of the best features of this tractor is that the seat is super comfortable. You can ride in that tractor all day long. It's not super loud until you shut it off, like I mentioned, but the seat's super comfortable. The steering wheel's comfortable, everything feels right, and it's got the twin touch pedals like the John Deere. I like that, although the reverse is a little jerky, so when you put it in reverse, it kind of jerks to a stop. It's not silky smooth like you would expect with a hydrostatic. Now, the gauges on this tractor are pretty much non-existent. There's a cheesy little LCD that's not backlit, and you can't read it very well, especially in the sun. So there are no gauges. There's an hour meter, and if something's wrong, it'll tell you there, like it might say clean air filter, but it's abbreviated, so you kind of have to figure it out. The owner's manual on those is nothing like a John Deere owner's manual. The pictures are kind of fuzzy. It's not super clear. But that's the dashboard you get on this tractor. You get a light for the differential and a little LCD with the hours on it. And occasionally it'll tell you something. So the reverse implement option on this tractor, super simple. I don't know why people have such a problem with it because, okay, you have your key switch on, right? And you go all the way over here, push this button, and then just let it go back to here. And as long as that light's on right there, you're good to go. So you can go backwards and forwards every time. It's not like the John Deere one where you have to push something or pull something every time you go in reverse. And some people have a real problem with it. I think this is probably the simplest reverse implement option there is. I mean, it's simple. You just put the key over, push the button, and then you're done. You don't have to do it again until you get off the tractor. Or if you shut the mower off, then you have to start it again. But I can't really think of anything simpler than that. PTO switch is really easy. Here's your brake lock and also your cruise control. Well, the cruise control doesn't work at max speed. I think this goes like 5.5 miles an hour. And if you set the cruise control, it's noticeably slower when the cruise control is set. So I never use it because the only time I would use cruise control is if I was booking it up the hill to my neighbor's house, and it doesn't work so good. Cup holder's fine, gas tank location fine. It's got a tether. The John Deere has the brake and go pedals on the same side. This one has the brake here, and with the John Deere, my tractor is hydraulic lift, so I'm just guessing all the John Deeres have it over there, and then the ones with the foot lift have it over here. Alright, so Cub Cadet, they really are pushing electric tractors now, and the dealership that I visit had one. It's sitting in their junk pile out back, brand new. He said it goes fine until you push the button to start the mower deck, and then it just shuts off. And even with new batteries, it's garbage. So I think the technology is here to stay. So I mean, a lot of us don't particularly like electric tractors. I mean, especially if you're going to use it for a big yard or you want to use it for an afternoon. It's not that great. But like everything, it's going to take some time, and eventually they'll be the thing. But for now, they're not. So Stanley has no other option with this tractor. They've discontinued the shaft drive tractor. You can get an XT2 that has a differential lock, and I think it's a K62 transmission, which is the really good garden tractor transmission. And it has some decent tires on it, but not power steering. So you have no power lift, no power steering, but you have diff lock and the good garden tractor transmission. So you can still get a good, decent garden tractor from Cub Cadet, but it's not going to be shaft drive. And that's what Cub Cadets were known for. So you cannot, I repeat, you cannot buy anything even remotely close, brand new, like your dad's Cub Cadet. They just don't exist anymore, and it really makes me upset to say that, but that's how it is. The XT1s, they have a garden tractor for the XT1s, and it has a K58 transmission. They call it a garden tractor transmission. The Craftsman has that. I think Husqvarna uses a K58. That's a yard tractor transmission. It's not serviceable. The K62 is serviceable. K58 is not serviceable, but according to the John Deere dealer, when I had some K58s, he said they've never come back. So I think the K58 is a reliable engine. I'm sorry, a reliable transmission. But when you start ground engaging with, a disc harrow or plow, who knows? So and not many people do that anymore, So now if you could get an XT3 3-stage snowblower for this tractor, still there might be some kicking around somewhere. They're manual lift. Even if you've got the electric lift tractor, they're still a manual lift with a spring. I've seen some dealers hook a winch up to it somehow. That's pretty clever, but they don't have implements for this tractor that are electrically lift actuated. So even though the deck is power lift, nothing else that goes with this tractor is power lift. You can still get a sleeve hitch, but it's got a lever on it. So I guess you could rig up some sort of actuator on that too if you wanted to. A lot of people still want a sleeve hitch, and I understand the thing these days is the subcompact utility tractor, but not everybody either has the space to store it, has the yard for it, or the money to buy it. They just want a garden tractor, So there's still people out there who want a garden tractor. You have to buy this tractor and the deck separately. There's no attachments for this tractor that are electrically operated or lifted except for the deck. So it's kind of a moot point to have power lift on something that doesn't lift anything besides the mower deck. The hydrostatic transmission is okay, except for the reverse is jerky. When you shut the tractor off, it backfires. The seat's really comfortable. The steering wheel is comfortable. The gauges stink. The tires are great. The wheels are meh. The trailer hitch is meh. The bumper on there is crooked from the factory, and so it chafes on the hood. Serviceability of the sideways engine is great. I love how easily it is to access this tractor. Cub Cadet still makes a garden tractor in the XT2. It has a K62 motor transmission in it, which is the serviceable garden tractor transmission that my John Deere has. K58 is a non-serviceable transmission, which is in the XT1 garden tractor. The XT2 garden tractor has the good tires. It has traction lock or diff lock, no power steering, no power lift. So you get good tires, differential lock, and a good transmission, but you don't get the other things. XT1's got the regular old cheap tires on it. No differential lock, no power steering, no power lift, and it has the K58 transmission, which is not serviceable. It's what I'd call a yard tractor transmission. It's really not designed for ground engaging, but a lot of the garden tractors come with those. I don't feel like a lot of people are buying garden tractors with the ground engaging capabilities anymore. They just buy them because they mow good. They have the bigger tires, so they ride better and they have a better transmission. So they don't have the K46 piece of junk, which you can buy a tractor with big tires, but if you have a piece of crap transmission in it, it doesn't do you any good to have a 25 horse motor and a junk transmission. A lot of people are just buying the subcompact utility tractors, which are great, but they're kind of expensive still. And if you don't have a lot of land, it's not really worth buying in my mind. So there's still a market for garden tractors, but I just feel like there's not as much money to be made in them. So nobody really makes them anymore. Husqvarna has one, Cub Cadet has one, Aaron still makes a good one, and of course John Deere. So when I bought this tractor, it was during COVID, and I was emailing back and forth to the dealer, and it wasn't the guy I usually talk to. He misquoted me by several $1,000s, so I didn't buy it. But when I went back to the John Deere dealer recently to buy my new tractor, he looked at it and said that he had totally screwed up the quote, and it was obviously a lot cheaper. So would if I had to do this all over again, would I buy a Cub Cadet or a John Deere? And the answer is I would buy the John Deere in a heartbeat, because for one thing, all the attachments are power lift. I've found that getting John Deere parts is probably the easiest of anything out there. I've never one time wanted a part for a John Deere and didn't have it in a week, or they already had it. The Cub Cadet, I've had to wait 2 or 3 weeks to get mower blades because the dealer doesn't stock them. So I'll end this with saying I'm going to keep it because I own it, and obviously I'm not going to get that much to resell it. So it's only got 100 hours on it, and it's comfortable for mowing. It's all I'm going to use it for is a mowing tractor, and I'll use the John Deere for the gardening. I wouldn't buy it again, but I'm going to keep this one. It's good enough for what I'm going to use it for. Let's just say that, okay? I really appreciate you watching. I hope that you'll take the time to hit like and comment down below on your thoughts of the Cub Cadets and the other garden tractors available. And also, if you haven't had a chance, please hit the subscribe button, and I'd love to see you again in one of my future videos. So thanks for watching, and I will talk to you next time.